We've made it to Australia's wildest, greenest, and rainiest state, Tasmania. If you've ever looked at a map of Australia, you're gonna notice that it's a really large chunk of land. But tucked away in the far southeast is actually a pretty large island. That's Tasmania. And Alexa and I have come here to explore everything that this kind of large but still pretty little island has to offer. Mostly because not a whole lot of people come here. And topographically, it's one of Australia's most interesting places. But this journey starts all the way back in Hobart, the capital city. Good morning. Alexa and I have arrived in Tasmania. Actually, we arrived a couple days ago, but we gotta get work done sometime. While this episode is mostly about Tasmania at large, especially the more wild parts of it, we figured it might be nice to show you a little bit of Hobart, the major metropolitan city here in Tasmania, which is actually kind of a joke because it's not that big. Still, it should be a lot of fun, so let's go. So just to clarify, Hobart is a very small city. It's still a city, but we're walking to downtown right now. And all told, there's about 250,000 people who live in this city. So when we compare it to Melbourne or Sydney, the two largest cities here in Australia, it would be about 1/20th the size. Both of those cities have about 5 million people. So it's quite small, but that just means it's that much cuter.
We have made it to the harbor here in Hobart, so we're gonna walk around and then check out the market. But before we do that, I just wanna say, after 2 months of blissful warmth, I have made it back to cold weather and am back in my blue puffy. And have a feeling I will be wearing my blue puffy for the rest of the month as we continue traveling through Tasmania and New Zealand.
I'll just add that climate-wise, I'm in heaven. This feels so much more like home. All that heat and hot and humid weather in Southeast Asia, not for me. Tasmania, that's for me. So one of the most interesting things that I find about Hobart, geographically speaking, is its location. If you look on a map, Hobart is sort of tucked away in that southeast part of Tasmania, which is actually well away from the major metropolitan area of Melbourne. And you would think that, just given the trade and economics of Australia, that Hobart would want to be positioned closer to Melbourne. However, right behind me is a huge natural harbor. And these are one of the most important things for any port city to have. It allows for safe transportation of goods and services into a protected bay from, well, the ocean, which, if you don't have a natural harbor, can make ports very tricky. So suffice it to say, Hobart's location on the southeast part of Tasmania is not an accident. It is purely because this is where the natural harbor is. Also, if you look way out there on the horizon, that's Storm Bay, which is named that way because one of the original explorers of Tasmania, Abel Tasman, was actually pushed into this bay because of a giant storm, giving you an idea of just what kind of protection this natural harbor gives Hobart. Can't wait to come back up this.
Being that Hobart is on a natural harbor, shipbuilding emerged as the first important industry here in Tasmania. Over 200 years ago was the height of Hobart's shipping industry. So from 1825 to 1875, there were over 300 ships that were built here in Hobart. And you can still see this legacy here, as you can tell by all the ships behind me.
With that said, we spent enough time on the harbor here in Hobart, and we're hungry. So we're gonna head back to that little market, see what they've got. So for lunch, I was wandering around the Hobart market here, and of course I come across a place that sells burritos. Love a good burrito, eat them all the time back home. But this one was unique, because this one is all wallaby meat, and I've never had wallaby. And I figure, when in Tasmania, or Tassie as the locals call it, you gotta try wallaby meat. Oh, it's quite good. It's a bit like lamb, maybe a little gamier, but I don't dislike it. Bonus points because the burrito place had habanero salsa, which I haven't had since I was back home.
I got some Turkish food. I'm very excited. It has lamb and spinach. Kind of looks like a quesadilla. Really, really hot. Very good, very savory, slight cheesiness, but man, I'm glad I have a whole plate. If you are in Hobart on a Saturday, you should definitely check out the Saturday Salmonelka Market. I hope I said that right. Probably didn't. I've tried like 10 times. Salmonella. You should definitely check out the Salmonelka. I keep saying salmonella, wanting to say that. That's so funny. Okay, there are lots of cute little shops. I'm very impressed by the different kinds of food they have. Burgers, crepes, paella, all kinds of stuff. It's a great little spot. Perfect Saturday mid-morning thing to do. But now it's time to walk off our big old meal, and we're gonna go on a hike and then check out a 200-year-old brewery.
We have finally made it to, well, a nice hike here in Hobart, actually just outside of Hobart. It's just very beautiful. We're gonna wander through a little bit, and at the end, it'll lead us directly to Australia's oldest brewery, which I'm sure does not come as a surprise to any of you. I'm gonna have a big old glass of beer. I just noticed as we're hiking here that a lot of these trees are burned, probably fairly recently too. Forest fires must be a bigger issue here in Tasmania than I would have expected. These things got really close to, well, the entrance of this hike, which is just where houses are. Check out this gigantic fern here in Tasmania. We're from the Pacific Northwest. A lot of ferns all over the Oregon, Washington area generally. I have never seen a fern this big. This thing is huge. It's not quite the same as one of our ferns, but oh wow. It is probably 12 feet tall. That right there is the brewery we've been walking to this whole time. It hasn't been a super long hike, but I'm ready for a brewski. Oh, that's really, really good.
The tables have turned. I now have more drinks than Geoff. So I'll be trying all of the Cascade Brewing beers. We got a stout, got a draft, a lager, and a pale ale. I have a feeling that Geoff will be helping me with this beer.
I will absolutely be helping her with those. No way she finishes those by herself.
Beer. Still beer. Coffee beer. Still beer. I'll be honest, these three taste very similar. This one does not. Not my favorite.
See, here's the thing. When we were in Vietnam and we did this, I gave you guys a little more information about each individual beer. Alexa, she's not made to be a beer taster.
As I'm making significant progress through my tasting paddle, let's talk a little bit about Cascade Brewery. This brewery is old. It started in 1824 and is considered Australia's oldest brewery, which is kind of surprising because that would make Hobart really old. And when I think of Australia and Hobart, I don't really think of it being a super old place. Today it is now owned by Asahi, the Japanese beer company. Cheers.
A few moments later.
So I just want to call out the fact that I have now finished my full pint of beer here. Alexa hasn't even finished a single one of her tasters. Not even close.
Oopsie.
Well, super fun exploring Hobart and this side of Tasmania, but we're tired and we're gonna go home. And tomorrow we're gonna set off to the western side of Tasmania.
See you then.
Good morning. Alexa and I had a great time here in Hobart, but this episode's not really about Hobart at all. In fact, it's about Tasmania, which means we need to hit the road because in order to see the truly wild parts of Tasmania, we need to head all the way over to the western side of the island, which is about 4.5 hours away. And it will include a couple stops along the way, one of which I am very excited about because I have not seen any wildlife since I've been in Australia, and it's about time I see some.
We made it to the Bonorong Wildlife Sanctuary, so we're gonna get to feed some kangaroos and hopefully see some other cool wildlife here.
We've been in Australia now for 3 weeks or so, and aside from one brief silhouette of a kangaroo, I have not seen any of Australia's famous wildlife. So this was a must stop on the way to the other side of Tasmania. Look at their really big feet. They have like these massive claws on them. So far, not super interested in the food that we have. Still really cute though.
Hi. Oh, hello.
You know, they're surprisingly gentle.
You really are a diva. Okay, well, I'll hold on to this for somebody else.
So the trick is, as we just learned, is that you have to go right up to them and basically shove the food in their face. Probably because that's what they're used to humans doing for them. They're not here to please us. We're here to please them. And Alexa, who kneeled down to feed the last kangaroo, got kangaroo poop on her. Unlike, say, elephants in Thailand, kangaroos in Australia, not endangered. There's a lot of them in this wildlife sanctuary. There's a lot of them around the country. I guess they just reproduce very fast.
I don't get it. They just don't like my food. I just must be too eager because they just are not interested in me.
It doesn't matter what Alexa does. They simply will not eat from her hand.
I'm starting to take it personally. No. Do I smell?
As it turns out, I am very popular with kangaroos. Alexa?
Not so much. Friend?
Hello, friend! 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 Friend!
I try too hard.
She just wants it too bad, and they can sense it.
I cannot keep it cool.
It's worth pointing out that the wildlife sanctuary we're at is actually a wildlife sanctuary. So all of these animals here can no longer live in the wild due to injury or something else that has gone wrong with them, so they're taken in here so that they can just live nice lives. This would be very different from some of the other zoos that we've been to on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing all the kangaroos, very cool. Seeing a Tasmanian devil, possibly my favorite part. They're not just Looney Tunes. So fun seeing all the wildlife in the wildlife sanctuary here. Love the kangaroos, love the Tasmanian devils. Saw a lot of birds, very cool looking birds. we are burning daylight here and we still have a whole Tasmanian island to cross. So time to hit the road.
Let's go. After a few hours of driving, we have made it to Lake St. Clair. We are still about 2 hours from our final destination here in Tasmania, but we knew that we had to stop to see Australia's deepest lake. We'll show you in just a second once we get there.
I don't know if you guys can hear over, well, the microphone, but the wind here is literally howling. And that is a telltale sign that we are getting closer to the west coast of Tasmania. And I have to imagine when we reach Strawn, the city we're staying in tonight, it is going to be very windy. I will say, this is quite lovely and really reminds me of some of the mountain lakes back in the Pacific Northwest where we're from. And it's one of the reasons actually that I wanted to come to Tasmania in the first place, is that I just knew it was going to feel so much like home, but a little different. Southern hemisphere-y, you know? Well, we're next to a lake in a mountain, and I don't know, I just kind of have to see and feel how cold the water is. I imagine it's pretty cold. Also though, these are some of the biggest waves of any lake I've ever been to. I'm not worried about getting sucked in, but it's just not as placid as I think I would have expected. Oh, so cold. That is very cold water. I would not go swimming in it.
I'm good.
Alexa,
Yeah?
what's missing from our hike today in Tasmania?
Kangaroos?
No, not kangaroos. Bush flies.
I am good.
One of the worst things about the outback
Oh.
are thankfully not here in Tasmania. I'd be willing to bet I have no fewer than 50 flies all around me right now.
Oh, my hair.
Alexa's hair is going to turn into one big rat's nest. But when you don't have very much hair, it's not a worry. As we head back to the visitor center, every time I do a hike in sort of a really lovely natural area like this, I tend to think about the indigenous people who used to live here. And if you've never heard of the Tasmanian Aboriginal people, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. They are perhaps not as well known as the mainland Aboriginal peoples. And that's primarily because the Tasmanian Aboriginal peoples were basically wiped out. Not entirely, there is still a few hundred or maybe even 1,000 left. But in the 1800s, the British colonizers here attempted to eradicate them from Tasmania as a whole. In fact, so much so that the Tasmanian Aboriginal languages don't really exist anymore. Today, I think Tasmania and Australia recognize the harm that did to the culture here, but I don't know, some things you just can't bring back. For what it's worth, at their height in 1803, when Britain first colonized Tasmania, it was estimated that there was between 3,000 and 15,000 Aboriginals. Just a few decades later, about 400. A lot of damage in a short amount of time. Very sad. Super fun exploring Lake St. Clair in this area, Australia's deepest lake, all very cool stuff. But we are burning daylight here, and we still have a couple hours to get to Strawn. So back in the car.
After a very long day of driving down some windy roads, we have made it to our adorable Airbnb here in Strawn. We're tired, we're gonna call it a night, but we've got a lot more to do tomorrow. Good night.
Really quick, guys. Sorry to take you away from the episode. Alexa and I are here in Strawn, and we love it here. This is a really cute town. Unfortunately, it's probably not gonna make it into the episode. Frankly, there's just other parts of Western Tasmania that we want to show you guys. However, if you are interested in Strawn or other tidbits of travel, go check out our Substack, geolex.substack.com, where you'll get a lot more information about the places we travel to, including what we really think about them. I will leave a little link in the description below. Click that after you're done with the video. And in case it wasn't clear, the Substack is 100% free. See you there. Good morning. It is a cold, wet, and rainy day here on the western coast of Tasmania, which I guess we should never have expected anything else. But one thing that we were really excited to do on this side of Tasmania is, of course, ride a train. Because what else are we gonna do? I love trains. When we found out that there was a train here, of course we were gonna do it. And hopefully it's gonna take us into some really cool areas of Tasmania that cars can't even go to. So let's go.
If you want to see Tasmania's rainforest, the Wilderness West Coast Railway is the way to go. It's also really the only way to go. This tiny train took us from the small town of Strawn over the iron bridge at Tipokana into the lower landing station along the King River. And while it was only about 10 miles inland, it made for a slow and relaxing ride through one of the most beautiful areas of Tasmania. Being in the middle of Tasmania's rainforest is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You can't really get to it any other way, as roads are basically non-existent. Thankfully for us, miners in the 1800s were really stubborn and managed to build a railway. This is despite all of the incredible logistic and geographic challenges, such as steep cliffs along the river and an incredible abundance of trees and bush. But because of those stubborn engineers in the 1800s, we got to see some of the wettest, greenest, and luscious parts of Australia. Something that's not too common when you look at the mainland.
We have made it to our destination here in the wild rainforest of Tasmania. And if you can believe it, over 3 meters of rain is dropped here every single year.
We're from Portland, and that just seems like a crazy amount of rain.
Portland gets on average about 40 inches. Well, we are only here for a little bit, so we're gonna explore, check it out, maybe get a little wet, we'll see. Apparently one of the only industries left up here in the rainforest is bees. Our guide on the train told us that they will haul up a bunch of bee hive carrier things. Bees will come in, they will naturally do what bees do, pollinate everything, and of course, create honey. And so these are 2 little samplers of honey that is fresh Tasmanian honey. We'll see if it tastes any different. Oh, it's very creamy. Creamy honey. And this one kind of looks like peanut butter. Oh wow, that's really good. If Alexa and I weren't flying to New Zealand next week, which I'm almost assured they would not allow honey in, I would consider buying some. We nearly missed our train back.
After our time in the rainforest, we made our way back to the train and back to Strawn.
Super fun riding the train to a part of Tasmania that we would never have been able to go without it. Awesome seeing all the green, lush area. What did you think, Alexa?
I liked it. It was fun. It was a little slow. And now I'm a little car sick or train sick, but you get to see some cool stuff.
We are almost done with our time here in Tasmania. but not quite. There's one other thing we have to show you. We came all the way out to the west coast of Tasmania, and we have not yet been to the ocean. And when I told Alexa that we were coming to Australia, I promised her that I would take her to a beach. I just didn't promise her that it would be a warm beach. So we're gonna head off to see what the west coast of Tasmania is really like, just as it starts to rain.
Yay.
Ah.
Just a nice beach breeze.
This is some incredible wind. Like just walking down to the beach is so hard. Welcome to the very vast Pacific Ocean here on the wild west coast of Tasmania.
Woo! It's windy.
It's very windy. One of the reasons why I wanted to come to the west coast of Tasmania is because of something called the Roaring 40s. This is a band of latitude, basically from 40 degrees south to 50 degrees south. And if you look all the way to the west of that on a map, you're gonna see that there's not really any land until you hit, well, South America. And it's because of this that the wind and the storm systems that are coming off the ocean pick up so much speed and basically slam into Tasmania, creating the Roaring 40 winds that we're feeling right now. Obviously, every coastline is pretty windy, but there's a consistency and a harshness to the winds here that are really, I think, unmatched by anything else. Hey, Alexa, you do a cartwheel. It's kind of brown, kind of looks like vomit. Not quite sure what it is. We've been to a lot of beaches on this trip, but so often, there's just not that many waves. So it's always nice to see some really nice, big, powerful waves. Those are a lot of waves. It's like they're stacked.
All right, it's been so fun exploring Tasmania, or Tassie as they call it here locally. We walked around Hobart, we drove through the island, got to play with some kangaroos and see the deepest lake in Australia. And now we're experiencing the Roaring 40s. Geoff, what was your favorite part?
I don't actually have a favorite part of Tasmania. It's always been a place that I've wanted to go because it's such a unique part of Australia. From all of the green, the rain, the wetness, the topography, the mountains, the hills to get here, the rest of the country is just not like Tasmania. And for that reason, I'm really happy that we decided to come here.
We really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And next week, we are riding another train, just a little bit longer, in New Zealand, all the way from Auckland to Wellington. Come back next week
for another adventure.
See you then. Kangaroos. Is it good? Oh.
My hair.
Geoff, what was your favorite part?
Oh, I actually don't know what my favorite part was.